At South Texas Health System Children's, your child's health is our priority. When they're ill or injured, we're ready to help. Our team includes on-staff pediatric specialists in infectious disease, cardiology, orthopedics, neurology, ear, nose, and throat, and more. Our round-the-clock care features the Valley's first dedicated children's ER. For more than 15 years, we've offered healing and hope for kids. And we're here for your family now. South Texas Health System Children's.
Where kids come first.
Greetings and welcome to our latest Let's Talk Children's Health webinar. I'm Tom Castañeda, the System Director of Marketing and Public Relations for South Texas Health System. On behalf of the STHS Children's team, thank you for joining us. To lay the foundation for a child's healthy physical growth, strong mental and emotional development, and better academic performance, it's important to prioritize their health. Beyond avoiding illness, it's about fostering capabilities and resilience for a fulfilling life. So to help parents prioritize their children's health, STHS Children's hosts these monthly Let's Talk Children's Health webinars. Through education on common health issues affecting kids, parents can help maintain their children's health and overall well-being. Now, in this installment, we'll be talking about healthy eating for kids. Good nutrition is vital for children. It fuels their rapid physical and brain development while promoting overall well-being and better academic performance. While around 90% of parents in the U.S. recognize the importance of healthy eating for kids, more than half of them struggle with implementation, according to recent studies, with many feeling unsure about what's truly healthy, and they lack the confidence in their ability to shape habits. So today we're joined by Ana de Escrivan, a registered and licensed dietitian nutritionist with Complete Nutrition Solutions, to learn more about healthy eating for kids. Ana, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Tom. It's always a pleasure to be part of your programs.
And you're one of my favorite people to bring on because we get to talk about food, but we talk about it and make sure that it's a healthy way that we're adopting habits that are going to help us stay healthy.
Yes, that is really important. We're not looking for any unnecessary restriction. We're just looking to help our community to fund the good eating habits.
Now, when you hear those statistics that all parents want their kids to eat well, but a lot of them just don't understand what that means when it comes to healthy eating. When you see your patients and your clients, is it the same percentage? You get more than 50% who are like, I really don't know where to start.
I would say like the percentage will be like even greater. The majority of our parents struggles on a daily basis to understand what would be the best way to feed their kids. Sometimes it's the lack of time, sometimes it's the lack of education resources, sometimes it's like life, stress, like they don't know what to do. And they prefer just to stop by any like junk food store or chain, and they prefer just to grab whatever. What they need to realize is that eating healthy, it's not really expensive, and it will be like even cheaper for them if they do it at home. They can have their children participating with them. They can have like a very beautiful moment, an educational moment for the family, and that is a time that we need to recover for the family. Mm-hmm. I feel like every day families are like very disconnected. We're disconnected through the social media, we're disconnected because everyone is like on their tablets, their cell phones, like not everyone is communicating together. Mm-hmm. So we're losing those spaces, and those spaces are really key for the family to be recovered.
And the other thing is that obviously we have to be role models for our kids as well. So when we're telling them to eat healthy and then they say, what did you have for lunch today? And I picked up some fast food because I didn't have time. You're basically sending mixed signals to your kids.
Totally. We need to start by being the main role model, okay? Examples will be driven the behavior, and we need to work on that one, okay? As adults, we are the ones that need to be leading the eating habits in the family. We can respect what our children's like or dislikes, but we need to be pushing, okay, our children to be eating different things. Mm-hmm. We cannot really trust them when they say, I don't like it, because that is not true. Like, studies have shown that in order for you to say, I don't like it, you need to try at least 15 to 20 times. So I normally explain my little kids, patients, and my families, and I say, okay, do you remember how long it took you to learn how to read? It will be the same for your tongue to learn how to read the new food. We just need more exposures, and we need to have our parents, okay, not quitting when our children say, I don't like it.
Mm-hmm. Don't take it unless it's been the 15th or 16th time.
15 to 20 times.
15 to 20, okay.
Yes.
And education is obviously very important. And I know that there's a lot of confusion about what we should eat, what we can eat, how much we should intake. And so you have put together a great presentation for us, yes?
Yes. Excellent.
All right, let's get started.
Okay, perfect. Like, before starting our presentations, I would like to share with the audience our philosophy at Complete Nutrition Solutions. We are a group of dietitians, registered and licensed dietitians, who believe in promoting a realistic approach which embraces flexibility and acknowledge the challenges of feeding children while encouraging nourishing choices without guilt or restriction. We're not here to restrict anything. We're just here to educate our families how to make it better, how to live that 80-20 to balance life, and to help the family to avoid any feeling of guilt or just like having their children's not enjoying their food as they should. We really believe in a parent-child teamwork. Has to be like a team. Collaboration is key. We need to be working together. We need to be working together, parents, children, and then their healthcare providers. The idea is to be, as a team, working on building up healthy eating habits and a positive relationship with food. We need really to foster a supportive environment for lifelong wellness. Okay, so why nutrition is really important? As you said before, Tom, the majority of the adults in our community are sure that they need to provide a good nutrition to their kids, to their children. However, how do we do it? Okay, how can I deal with the stress, with the lack of time, with the lack of resources, with the excess of like junk food exposition or exposures, okay? How do I know, okay, or how I can make this a reality? So nutrition is really important. Why? Because we need to support growth and development. We need to improve energy, we need to improve focus, and we need to improve the mood. So I don't know if the community knows that whatever we eat, it's really impacting the mental health. So the way we feel, the way we're acting, the way we have, like the level of energy we have, it's really depending on the way we eat. We need to build a healthy relationship with food. We cannot feel guilty about eating something. We cannot feel that there's something that you cannot eat. We can eat everything. Food is not good or bad. What makes them good or bad will be how much and how frequent you do it. So we need to be like moving that guilty feeling out of the equation and bringing that enjoyment, bringing that happiness to the table and to the family. And we really want to reduce any future risk of chronic diseases. Sadly, our children population, it's really struggling with so many chronic diseases that we used to see it in the adult population. I always say that when I graduated as a dietitian, okay, many years ago, I learned that type 2 diabetes was the diabetes for the elderly, for the older adults. Now we're seeing type 2 diabetes in kids, in preschoolers, and that is something that we need to avoid. Why? Because when we see a type 2 diabetes in a 5-year-old kid, in a 10-year-old kid, that it's related to their diet, that it's not related to genetic Genetic might really make a difference, but in these early stages, it's really related to their diet. So the healthy eating today will conduct the healthier adults tomorrow. We're gonna have like a healthier population. And that is something that we really need to consider. I always used to say that we're having like a sick population ahead. And that is something that even from financial and economical data, it's gonna impact our society in the years to come. And that is something that we as a healthcare providers and then as families and a community, we need to consider. We need to stop this epidemic of chronic diseases in the child population. So parents, they will be the big role models for our children. We need to understand that our children learn from what they see, not just from what they hear. They need to see. So if we eat a healthy diet, they will be eating a healthy diet. We need to model balance and flexibility. We need to avoid labeling food as good or bad. Okay, food doesn't have any moral character, moral meaning. It is not good or bad. Food is there to nourish our body. And then we need to show enjoyment around the food. As I said, not any guilty message has to be around the food. We also need to help our kids to set a structure. A structure helps kids feel secure. Our kids, they need limit. They need limit with their diet. They need limit with their cell phones. They need limit with their screen time. They need limit with toys, with everything. So kids thrive with routine. So we need to make sure that we are scheduling meals and snacks for them, and they need to have a schedule. I always share with my patients that normally when kids are at school, they cannot go to the cafeteria and ask for something to eat whenever they want. And when I ask them why you don't do it, the kids, they normally tell me because my teacher doesn't let me to do it. So I ask my parents, you need to be that teacher at home. You need to be like doing that role. You need to be setting those limits. We need to stop having like our kids going to the fridge every 30 minutes, every 15 minutes, going to the pantry to get something to eat. They need to understand that there's a time to eat. And once we eat, our brain needs a time to understand that it's already full, that it's already satiated. When we do it in this way, we're going to help them learn their hunger cues. If they're like eating all the time, they're not gonna be able to understand if they are hungry or if they're like full. So we need to work on schedules. So schedule meals and snacks, eating at the table when possible. And that has to be a family rule. We need to set a table. We need to teach them how to use the utensils, how to use the silverware, how to use the napkin. We need to help them how to have like good table manners in the table. And if we don't do it during the family time, are we going to wait until they are like grown adults and they need to go to a business meeting and they will be eating like without any table manners? No, that is something that we need to teach at home. We need a limited grazing throughout the day. As I said, a schedule for meals, a schedule for snacks. They need to stop going to the fridge or to the pantry at any time. And we need to be aware that snacks should be intentional. They cannot be constant. A structure creates trust with food, and that is an important message that we need to deliver to the children. In other side, we need to have what we call the division of responsibility in feeding. So what is this? What are the parents' roles? Okay, as the adult in the equation, the parents, it's the one that will be deciding what foods are offered. You are the ones that it's creating the main menu. So we can ask our kids, like, what do you like? What would you want? But we are the ones that will be deciding what we're going to be serving at mealtime. Then parents also, they are the ones who said when meals are and when snacks are served. And then where eating is happened. So we do the what, we do the when, and then we do the where. And then the child's role will be whether they eat or not. We don't want anyone to be forcing their kids to eat. That it's definitely not a good strategy. And then they will be regulating themselves in how much they eat. However, the adult, it's the one that is providing the right serving. We respect hunger and fullness cues, and that is key. When we have a children that is saying, when we have a child that is saying, I don't want more, we should respect that one. And then we also need to tell them, I can respect that you are full. You need to understand that you cannot be back 30 minutes later, because sometimes they say, I'm full because they don't want to eat the salad or because they don't want to eat something extra in their plate, but they will be back 30 minutes later asking for a snack to eat. So the adult is the one that will be setting that structure, setting that limit, and emphasizing the what, the when, and the where. We need to build a balanced plate. So what do we do? Every time that we sit to eat with our children, we need to think on having in front of us 4 things. We need to think, number 1, on vegetables. Kids need to see veggies on their plate. And some of you will tell me they don't like them. They think they don't like them, but they might like them if you keep exposing them to the veggies. In order for them to learn how to eat the veggies, there are multiple strategies. One thing that I love to ask my patients, ask yourself, what do you think you can add to your veggies for you to like them? Sometimes we think like veggies only can have a little bit of butter on top, or they need to have like ranch on top. What if we add something else? What if we think on, I don't know, lime juice? What do we think on Cholula sauce? What do we think on salsa verde or salsa roja? There's no room. So we need to ask them, what flavor do you like? For example, mac and cheese. Mac and cheese is something that the majority of the kids, they love them. What if we think on that melted cheese to be put on top of your broccoli? Do you think you would like them? What flavor do you think you will be getting from your broccoli? Broccoli or like a cheesy broccoli? It will be like a cheesy broccoli. So normally when they like a flavor, if they pair that flavor with their veggies, they will be more open to try that veggie. We need to stop like hitting everything, sneaking. My parents, the majority of them, they will tell me, Anna, I always try to sneak everything because if they see, they won't touch them. We need to have them see. It is really important. And then we also have other techniques. We can have something that is called like the 4-step exposure to a new food. We can have these kids, for example, getting a new veggie and touching and smelling that veggie for some days. So we can have like the first week touching and smelling that new veggie. The second week, we can have the same veggie, but in this time, we don't touch and smell. We are going to put the veggie on the tip of the tongue. Okay, so we're gonna be like kissing the veggie. Over the third week, we're gonna be licking the veggie. Over the 4th week, we're gonna be eating a little piece. So we're gonna have like 4 weeks where we're gonna have the children working with the same veggies. At the end of the year, we're gonna have 12 new veggies for them to try. So there's like different things. So number 1, vegetables. Number 2, we need to have protein in their plate. So what is a protein? We're gonna think on either meat, chicken, turkey, we can do pork, we can do egg, we can do cheese. Like we can use different type of protein for them to try. And then what is important? We need to have that protein ideally grilled, baked, boiled, trying to avoid the fried food. Okay, fried food, it's not really healthy. Fried food has to be part of that 20% of the diet. Okay, those things that I do every now and then. Next, I need to have grains. Carbohydrates are needed in children's plate. So I need to offer them either the whole grains, or we can have like potato, we can have sweet potato, we can have legumes, which is the beans, the lentils, the chickpeas, the corn, the whole grain pasta, quinoa, whole grain cereals. There's multiple whole grains that we can add to their plate, and we need to respect everyone's portions according to their age. And then we need to add a fruit. So fruit has to be present. Sometimes the parents that visit with me, they would tell me, no, I am not buying any more fruit because I'm like losing the fruit. It's getting spoiled. And I always tell them, get the fruit, chop the fruit, serve the fruit in a little plate. And you can add a little bit of the whipped cream, for example, okay? You can add something else, like a little bit of chocolate chip to the fruit. You can do something funny for them to like them. But the fruit will be like an excellent dessert for the kids. And then, of course, we need to add like a dairy option. That dairy option might be some cheese on top of the pasta, for example, or maybe a glass of low-fat milk, or maybe a yogurt, okay? That can be also part of the dessert or can be part of the meal in any way. So we are looking for balance. We are not looking for perfection. We also need to understand the picky eating. And I would say this is one of the biggest things that I receive in my practice on a daily basis. The majority of our parents, they will get referred to see a dietitian because my child, my kid, it's picky. Like he's like not eating what I serve. He only prefers certain things, certain texture, and that will be totally normal. We need to understand that there's like levels of picky eating. We have like real problem with picky eaters, especially those that might have sensorial issues. And normally we see that one in kids that are having any diagnosis within the autism spectrum. But the majority of the picky eaters, okay, are there just because we've been pleasing them only with what they want to eat. So at the end, we're just like putting on their plate what they want to see. And we're like missing that part where we need to educate them to integrate new food. Think on a teacher at school. The teacher is not teaching every day the same. It's teaching different things the same. Different things every day, okay? So we need to be having that teacher hat and think in different ways to help our kiddos accept new food. And we need to work on that one. As I said, we normally require between 15 to 20 exposures before saying, I don't like it. Kids, they would say, I don't like it. But as the adult in the equation, we need to know that he's not ready for that let's say a veggie in that moment. Maybe we can try with another one. Maybe we can try with the same veggie in another form. Instead of doing stick, we can do puree, or we can add it to a soup, or we can chop, or we can combine it with something else. We just need to be more creative and look for other options. We need to keep offering without pressure, and that is really important. We don't use food to reward, and we don't use food to punish anyone. And we need to understand that one. Not because you got good grades, I'm gonna take you to McDonald's. No, we don't use the food as a reward. We need to understand that food is to nourish our body. If you want to reward your children, your kids, you need to take them, okay, to, I don't know, I would say dollar store and get a little toy for them. Or maybe you just need to have like more time with them, going to the park, playing together, okay, doing like a family game. We just need to be like rewriting those rewards and getting the food out of the equation. The same, we're not punishing any kid with food, okay? You need to eat this, and we end up having like a war at the table. No, we need to avoid that one. We need to include one safe food per meal. When we structure their plate, we cannot be mean and think, okay, I need to have him eating different things and putting something like everything is different. No, we need to keep one or two safe food for them, and we include one or two new options. And then we have our kids to be playing around. Something that I recommend a lot, especially for the picky eating, it's having them participating in the cooking process. There's like multiple like pediatric or children-friendly utensils that they can use. Get a little apron, get a little like chef hat, okay, and have them helping you. In that way, they will be getting in touch with the texture, with the colors, with the flavors, with the smell, like with everything. It has to be a whole experience for them. We also need to be like to avoid that, how can I say, like being short, okay, on food, and be totally relying on ordered food out there. So that is something that we need to work, okay? And we need to be very patient. Patient, it's key, okay? Teaching good eating habits entails time, okay? The same way that we teach them how to brush their teeth, how to say hello and thank you, how to be like, how to have like well manners, like all of those things, the same happen with food. So those behaviors takes time to be educated and need to have all the family included. We need to avoid the food battles. So what we recommend, no forcing, no bribing, no bargaining. We cannot use the food as a reward or as a punishment, as I said before. We need to make sure that we are keeping a mealtime calm and neutral. Has to be a delicious space to be in the family. We need to have our kids like being eager to sit on the table and share with mom and dad all the good things that happen at school, their friends, their plays, their wins, or whatever. So we need to have them enjoying that moment. And we need to be focused on consistency, not on control, okay? We need to just move forward. If we got our kid not touching the veggies that day, we're not gonna be like, I don't know, like saying like something about that one. We're not gonna be complaining about that one. We just like get quiet, okay? We just like ask them like just to go, brush their teeth, time for food, it's over, and that's it, okay? Like life continues, we move forward. Next day, we try it again. We need to understand that snacks are mini meals. And when we think on snacks, we cannot think on calorie-dense option. Chips, Takis, sugary cookies, sugary cereals. We cannot think on those options. We need to think on mini meals. We need to consider fruits, veggies, whole grain, some dairy for those snacks. So we can have, ideally, options that can include protein and fiber. Something like apple and peanut butter, for example. Or we can add like a yogurt. It doesn't have to be a plain yogurt. We can do like a flavored yogurt. We're gonna be looking for any option with low added sugar. And then we can add the fruit. We can add some nuts, for example. Or we can have some cheese with the whole grain crackers or whole grain tostaditas. We also can have something like hummus and veggie sticks, okay? Or we can have ranch and veggie sticks. Or we can have like a combination of everything. We can create like a little charcuterie board, and we can have a little bit of veggies, a little bit of cheese, some fruit, having a little bit of everything where they can choose always healthier things. Water is the best drink between meals and with meals. And you might say, water, but it's so boring. My kids, they need always to get something flavor. And I used to tell my parents, I used to ask them, why water is the best choice? Because water has no flavor. Water has no odor. Water has no texture. So water is clear and unflavored. So when you eat with water, you're gonna be able to understand the real flavor from the food that you're eating. When you eat with a Diet Coke or when you eat with a sweet tea, at the end your rice is gonna taste as the sweet tea. Your steak or your chicken is gonna taste at the Diet Coke. You're gonna be bringing a flavor that is masking the real flavor of your food. If you want to have a mindfulness experience while eating, which is the idea, we need to have the water, because that will be the only way to help our kiddos experience the real flavor from the food we're offering to them. So we need to be able, to catch that cumin in the food. We need to be able to catch that spice in the food. And if we are having other flavors that are masking our food, it will be really impossible. So that is key. Always offer water. We need to involve the kids. Children are more likely to eat foods when they help choose. So we can ask them. Remember, the adult at the end has the last word, okay? The what, the where, the when. But we need to include their opinion. So we can have them going with us to do the grocery shopping. We can have them planning together dinner, lunch, snacks. We can have them doing simple cooking tasks. And we need, of course, to give them age-appropriate responsibility. We need to understand empowerment builds confidence. And we want them to learn how to cook. That is really important. If we want them in their adult life to be able to prioritize the home cooking, they need to learn that skill. And that skill, it's always taught at home. Today, something happened to me. I had a kiddo in my consultation today, and mom was telling me when we were doing this 24-hour recall to understand the way this boy was eating, mom was telling me, and she was breathing heavily, well, he's cooking his meal. He's always preparing his food. And I say, that's wonderful. We just need to guide them. Okay, we just need to teach them the best way to use less fat, the best way to add less sugar, what will be the appropriate cooking method that they need to put in place. We just need to provide that guidance and they will do excellent. We need to create a healthy home. That is really important, and I would say that is one of the most important points in this conversation. We need to keep nutritious foods visible and accessible. If I want them to eat fruits, I need to keep the fruits in a place where they can see it, where they can get it. I cannot have oranges like into the fridge. I need to have them peeled, okay, and served. I cannot have like a big watermelon there and think, they're not eating the watermelon. No, we need to cut the watermelon. We need to chop the watermelon. We need to serve the watermelon. They need to see the fruits and the veggies. We need to limit the ultra-processed snacks at home. Please, and this is something that I really beg my parents. This is not about eating or not chips. We just need to offer them in the appropriate portions and the appropriate time. If I have chips all the time at home, how can I ask them to not eat the entire bag? It will be super difficult for them to control themselves. Remember you as the adult, when you were like a 13-year-old kid, okay? You wanted to eat everything. They want to eat everything. So we need to make sure that we are like keeping the right food choices at home to make sure they get access to the right options. And with those things that are not super healthy, we just limit them and we offer them in the appropriate serving. Again, we're not going to be focused on perfection. We're focused on progress, not on restriction. And then we need to empower the family meals. Family meal support. Please do not allow your kids to eat in their rooms. Rooms are not to eat. Rooms are to sleep. They need to come to the table. We need to take that time to listen to them, to see what they like, the way they're like eating. We need to have them participating with us. The family meal support better nutrition, a stronger family connection, and improve emotional well-being. So turn off the screens and focus on conversation, not in intake. Sometimes it's easier to have them with a tablet. No, okay? Turn off the screens and focus on the conversation. What is our message at Complete Nutrition Solutions? We do not expect perfection. We support realistic goals. We guide, we educate, we empower families, and we firmly believe that healthy habits grow with time, with patience, and with consistency. How can we help? In case you want to get help, we are like a practice that it's focused on pediatric and family nutrition counseling. We do weight management, diabetes, chronic diseases, and we have multiple locations in McAllen, in Westlaco, and also in Bronzeville. So we're here to help. You can contact us through CompleteNutritionSolutions.com or to 956-600-3475.
That was all such great information. I love how enthusiastic you are about healthy eating, and this is why you're in this profession, because you really understand it. But let's talk a little bit about the numbers when it comes to some of the issues that we're seeing. So obesity, unfortunately, we're seeing childhood obesity issues across the country. It's an epidemic. 1 in 5 children and adolescents are obese. So that's nearly 20% of American kids, and the rates are higher for Hispanic youth. Why do you think that Latinos are seeing higher rates of obesity when it comes to their kids?
Okay, I would say number 1, Tom, it's the lack of education, okay? Number 2 is the lack of accessibility. Like, unfortunately, our Hispanic population, it's the one that has less access and less education. Sometimes we might think, okay, but they are like receiving food stamps, they are receiving some helps. We need to connect the help with the education. If we don't connect those fronts, we're not going to see the results we need.
And that education is so important because when you are an assistance, they don't really limit the items that you can purchase. But if you understood, hey, I can use this, I can get these items versus these, it'll be healthier for my child. So that education is so key.
Education is key. And let me tell you something, maybe I might sound a little mean, but I think like there's some things that need to be limited when it comes from those benefits. Like if you want to buy something that it's unhealthy, you need to pay for that one. You cannot use those benefits that are like meant to be used for healthy eating to buy something that it's not really healthy. So there has to be some type of regulation.
And then when it comes to obesity, unfortunately, it increases the risk for serious adult health problems. And you talked about seeing a lot of cases of type 2 diabetes. We're seeing heart disease in young adults now. We're seeing stroke in young adults, certain cancers. There are more than 200 health conditions and diseases that are affected by excess weight.
Yes.
And you see a lot of these types of cases in young kids already?
We are seeing, you can imagine. For me, it's like really painful as a healthcare professional because this is something that it's totally, so we can avoid this and we can prevent it,
yes.
Okay? So we're seeing fatty liver in kids, okay, which is unthinkable, okay? We're seeing a lot of mental health issues, Tom, that are really related to the way our kids are eating. Okay.
And that correlation between what you eat and how you feel is really important to understand that. Yes, you'll see the physical effects, you'll gain weight or whatever it may be, but the mental health impact of food is something that I don't think we really truly consider.
Yes, we don't consider that one, but it's really important. We need to understand that our brain, okay, and our gut, it's totally connected, okay? Our gut, it's our second brain. Whatever we eat that it's not healthy, it's going to be sending the wrong signals to the brain. And that will be bidirectional. So the way we eat impact the way we see from mental health perspective and vice versa. When we're eating healthier, we're like battling better the depression and any mental health condition. There's a lot of research behind these, okay? We know already that the microbiome, the microflora in your gut, the way that you are like feeding your bacteria in your gut are very impacting in a very meaningful way the way we're like feeling from mental health perspective. So yes, it has a big, big, big impact.
Now, when we talk about being healthy, two of the most important things that we can do is diet and exercise. So what we eat and making sure that we're physically active. And I know that unfortunately we're seeing a lot of sedentary habits. in the US. But when people think about losing weight or maintaining a healthy weight, they tend to start working out. But diet is 80% versus the exercise is being 20%. When it comes to that you need to shift your mindset, it's because what you're fueling your body with is causing you issues, not necessarily how you're
Totally, and let me tell you something. I would say like considering only like diet and exercise, it's really limiting the equation because we need to include there the way we live, stress, sleeping habits, okay? They will be impacting tremendously our well-being. So yes, diet is very important, but it's not only what you eat, it's how you eat it. It's where you eat it, okay? It's how you move it. It's where you move, okay? It's how much you sleep. It's how you manage your stress. There's multiple things that are like triggering our cortisol nowadays, and that it's really impacting heavily, okay, our well-being. So yes.
Yeah, now you gave some great tips when it came to training our kids to eat healthy, one of the things that you talked about is making sure that our kids are hydrated and staying hydrated. And there is that misconception sometimes that kids may have that they're hungry when they're really just thirsty. Is that right?
Yes, and that doesn't happen only with kids. Happens also with the adults. And sometimes they just want to eat because they are bored. And we just immediately we need to offer them to eat something first, okay? And then we need just to ask them what they want. Something that I ask my parents to do is, when you have a kid that already ate, and you have that kid coming back in 30 minutes, okay? You ask him, if you want to eat something, I can offer you some veggies. Immediately they will tell you, that is not what I like. You know that they are not hungry. They're just bored. They just went back to the kitchen because they want something to eat, or because they remember there's some chips there, and if they don't eat faster, it's gonna come another brothers or sister like to get it. Okay, so they're like just like running, okay, to make sure they are the first one. So it's just like pushing more like more water, like hydration, okay, and then just moving the attention to other activities, okay, and that is really important, okay. Just advise them, you cannot be hungry because your tummy will take at least 2 hours to get empty.
Okay.
So before those 2 hours, you cannot be back. And if you see that they're like constantly coming back, just check that they're like eating enough. Okay, so during the meal time, you go up a little bit on their protein. Okay, instead of going with more carbs, okay, overloading them with the carbs, we just like offer them a little bit more protein, a little extra veggies. Okay, so we just balance out a little bit. But yes, we need to just like derive, okay, that wish to be eating all the time, and just like derive the attention to something else.
Yes. And you talked about fostering your child's independence. So really making sure that they are building their own relationship with food, and you're really just being their coach and help guide it, but they need to gain that independence on their own so that they can sustain it as they get older.
Yes, and that is really important, but the adult has to lead the equation, and that is really important. We are the leader, okay? We cannot be asking them all the time what they want. They will want pizza. They will want chicken nuggets. They will want fries. They don't want veggies.
Yes.
They don't want to get fruit. They don't want to, okay? So we need to lead, okay? And we can say, okay, let's have the same chicken nuggets at home. Let's do our own French fries at home. Like, it's just like prioritizing that homemade cooking, that it's really important. I firmly believe, Tom, that the 100% of the chronic conditions that we are seeing out there can be resolved going back to the kitchen.
Yeah.
Prioritizing homemade cooking is key, and we can have the kiddos participating in that.
How important is breakfast? We always hear breakfast being the most important meal of the day. As a nutritionist, dietitian, how important is breakfast and making time for breakfast?
Okay, breakfast is really important, okay? It will be like a very debatable topic, okay, because it might not be that important for the adults as for the kids. Why for the kids is important? Because breakfast is the first source of energy for them. They are at school, they need to be focused, they need to be attentive with a teacher, they're like learning, they're gonna be doing some physical activity, so they need that energy. So it's really important for them. But we need to balance that breakfast out to make sure that they are receiving protein, that they're receiving fruit, that they are getting their dairy, that they are getting their whole grains, okay? That is really important. For the adults, I can say that it might be a little bit more debatable, because we can do a little bit of fasting and we're gonna be fine, okay? And then like eating better later. But I would say for the kids it's important. And let me tell you something, that is one of the biggest problems of our population. They're not getting breakfast. Why? Because they are like eating very late at night. So when they wake up, the majority of our adolescents, they don't feel hungry. And when they go to school, they don't want to eat. So they pass the entire day on an empty stomach, and when they get back home, they tend to be overeating. So there's no way to be able to think on what you want to eat when you are very hungry. So we need to help our population to, if you're not having your breakfast, to have a little snack.
Yes.
Okay, and that is something that is really important. We don't need to think on a breakfast like pancakes, eggs, and chorizo, and no, we can do a little snack. Maybe only a yogurt with a fruit, maybe a shake, a fruit shake with a protein or with a yogurt. Like, we can do something simple, but making sure that they get something.
And that's why it's so important to schedule those meals, because if they're eating
Yes.
too late, then you're seeing that issue of the breakfast. So scheduling meals and scheduling the snacks.
Exactly, scheduling the meals and scheduling the snacks.
And it should be
That is
3
really
meals
important.
a day, obviously breakfast,
be
lunch, and dinner. And then how many snacks? Like, what is
we
a
can
good
have,
number?
I would say like at least one snack will be important, okay? But then it will be depending on the kids, okay? Sometimes the little ones, they might need another snack because the volume of their food will be smaller, so they get hungry like faster than the big ones. But I would say like no more than 2 snacks a day. Okay, that is also something that we need to avoid, like the frequent snackers, because when they snack very frequently, they end up not feeling hungry when they sit to eat, okay, when they sit at the table, so they don't want to eat with the family. So I am not hungry, so parents ends up like saying, okay, do your thing, and it doesn't matter if you're not here. No, you are not hungry, but you sit here. Okay,
Yes.
so we have them coming to the table.
Now, how long does it take for our stomach to tell our brain that we're full? Because we're talking about, mindful eating and the importance of really paying attention, turning off the TV, savoring the flavors, but also understanding when we're full.
Yes, the hunger cues and the fullness cues are very important. It might take something between 20 to 30 minutes. So this is why it's really important to teach our kids to eat slowly. Okay, as I said before, like, we need to be able to catch the cumin, okay, like that flavor. They need to be able to and say, Mom, this is delicious. You get me? Because they need to be able to taste.
Yes.
So ideally, we need to have them eating slowly, and we can put in place some strategies for them to help, because sometimes they're like eating super fast. So we can just ask them, let's say they're using the fork, so they can get a bite and then they can put the fork down on the plate. They chew, they swallow, and then they get the fork again. Okay? So we're like making time, okay, for them to be understanding those fullness cues.
And how do we teach them to understand when they're full, like the feeling of being full, so that they also are paying attention as they're eating?
I would say, Tom, that it's natural. That it's natural. When you were a baby, you were like rejecting the bottle immediately when you got full. So they need to learn, okay, that there's like a appropriate serving, okay, and when they don't get it because they just want to eat, okay, we just need to tell them, hey, you already ate, the proper serving for you. Let's stop here, let's do something else, and I can give you a little snack later. Okay, so we need to be like the Japanese. Have you heard of like the Japanese? They eat until the 90%. They always have leftovers in their plate. They don't eat the entire plate. They don't clean their plate. They always have a leftover there. They eat until the 90%. And we need to teach our people to do the same.
To leave some
To
on the
leave
plate.
some of the plate.
And I know growing up that we were told, eat everything on your plate. There
I
are starving
know.
children around the world, eat everything. So we also have to understand that as parents,
Yes.
that 90% rule, like it's okay to leave a little bit on the plate.
Totally, totally. And we need to avoid those messages, because what we're like having is a kid that is feeling guilty. I need to eat because the people from Africa like don't have anything to eat. So I am like very fortunate to have food on my plate. So it's just like providing the wrong message. And we need to make sure, we need to understand that we're gonna have some losses, okay? Like food waste, that it will be okay. The same way when you go to the pantry and you see that something is expired and you need to throw it out, okay? The same way you're gonna have some veggies that they didn't eat, but not because they didn't touch those veggies, you're gonna think I'm not gonna buy them again because no one is eating that one. That is what we need to avoid, okay? We just need to be more persistent. We just need to be like understanding another way to have them trying, okay, touching, experiencing, and be patient.
And portion control is really important as well. So when we are preparing these meals, and I have a mother who likes to give me extra food on the plate when I come to visit, she wants to feed more. And I'm like, no, I don't need that much food. But as parents, we have to make sure that our kids understand what a normal portion is versus the ones you see in restaurants.
Exactly, and that will be really related to the age, and this is why our parents need to be educated. If we have a kid, like a 13-year-old boy that is an athlete, like he cannot be eating the same than a boy that is not making any physical activity. And they might have the same age, but they have different needs. So this is why it's really important to seek for professional help when we don't feel confident about the amount we need to be serving our children. Yes.
Those serving sizes.
Because
when you see them on the back of a box, and you're like, that's only
that's
one serving.
only one serving. Exactly.
It shocks you, but that's
because we are like used to eat a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, that happened with the chips.
Yes.
So when you get a party size bag of chips, it's for 8 people.
Yeah.
And you're able to eat it
in one sitting if you're not careful.
Exactly. So yes, we need to pay attention to the portion size. Totally.
And then how happy do you get when you see a colorful plate? Because we hear about having a colorful plate, the importance of just making sure there's a lot of color on your plate, which means you're using a lot of veggies and fruits.
Mira, there's something that is called the cephalic phase of the feeding process, okay? You don't only eat with this, you eat with this, okay? And when I mean with this is what you see, what you smell, what you hear, okay? Immediately when you're at home and you get home and you smell, immediately there's a bunch of physiological mechanisms that are happening in your body, okay? So if you see a plate that it's all brown, you don't like it. When you see a plate that has like multiple colors, it will be beautiful, like the rainbow, okay? So we need to play around, okay? It's the same with the texture. If you see that everything is chopped, you don't like it. You need to be playing around with the texture. You can have a little bit of puree, you can have something chopped, you can have something complete, you can have like, you get me, okay? We need to be working around everything. Understanding that we eat through this, okay? Our brain eats every day.
And when I was online, I saw this little kids healthy eating plate. So you see it is very colorful. You see that the whole grains take up a portion. Vegetables and fruits are half the plate. A healthy protein is only 1/4. So really understanding that. Where can people go if they need just a visual? I know myplate.gov is a great place where you can just see what your plate should look like.
Unfortunately, Tom, my plate it's not anymore online.
Oh no.
Due to that new pyramid that we have, like the new guidelines that we received like a few weeks ago. So my plate, which I think it's the best visual model for anyone to learn, it's not there anymore. You can Google, of course, because you're gonna be getting like the pictures or whatever. But there's like multiple places where you can go online and learn, okay? Like even at any school district, they have education resources, okay? What I feel it's like there might be a disconnection between those resources and the education process per se. We need to do better in that sense. But out there, it's everything. Okay, we just need
do
to
your research.
Exactly, do your
You'll
research.
find it and you'll understand.
You'll find it, and then look for the right professional. If you need help, just ask your doctor to refer you. Sometimes doctor, sadly, they would say, no, you don't need it. Yes, I need it. I need it. The majority of our kids, they have the benefits with their insurances to get seen by a registered dietitian. So we are the professional that is capable to teach them, okay, to help them, to help the entire family. And that is the idea.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Ana. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Tom. It's
we
a
hope to see you again soon.
big pleasure.
All right, thank
We'll
you.
be more than happy.
And that officially concludes our webinar. Thank you for joining us. We hope you will continue to prioritize the health of your children, and we look forward to seeing you for our next installment of this Let's Talk Children's Health series on Wednesday, February 18th from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. when we discuss ear infections. Like and follow the STHS Children's Facebook page for more details on our future Let's Talk Children's Health webinars. And to view all our previous Let's Talk webinars, all you have to do is visit STHSletstalk.com. Until our next seminar, stay healthy, stay safe, and please continue to prioritize your health and the health of your children.
At South Texas Health System Children's, your child's health is our priority. When they're ill or injured, we're ready to help. Our team includes on-staff pediatric specialists in infectious disease, cardiology, orthopedics, neurology, ear, nose, and throat, and more. Our round-the-clock care features the Valley's first dedicated children's ER. For more than 15 years, we've offered healing and hope for kids. And we're here for your family now. South Texas Health System Children's.
Where kids come first.